on strike, that the actors now are joining the writers, who have been on strike for multiple months now, and they still don't have a contract from the Alliance for Motion Picture and Television Producers. This is the association that represents the studios and the executives, basically the greedy plutocrats that are telling people that it's unreasonable to ask for things that I think are actually very reasonable. And we'll get to that. But what this means is that all of the people who are part of the SAG-AFTRA union, many of them working class, the vast majority aren't the named celebrities that you know, like a George Clooney or Margot Robbie or any of those people who are going to be on the big silver screen this summer. We're talking about many actors, background actors, people who might be just extras in many of the movies, might have cameo roles, who fill in and make these productions possible, because they're not just plays with singular stars. They're ensembles, they're pieces with they're films with lots of different people. So anyone in SAG-AFTRA can't do acting on camera, no singing, no dancing, performing of stunts, piloting on camera aircraft, no puppeteering, no performance capture or motion capture work. So that'd be for like visual effects or special effects. And then off camera work that is prohibited is ADR looping, TV trailers, theatrical trailers, voice acting, singing, narration, and stunt coordinating and related services. No background work, no stand-in work, no photo or body doubles, fittings and wardrobe tests and makeup tests, rehearsals and camera tests, scanning. You can't do interviews and auditions. You can't do promotion or publicity. There's a big thing happening here where the San Diego Comic-Con, or SDCC, is now losing all the talent that was going to go there, that made that a big event for fan bases of many of these productions. Particularly, let's think of like the Marvel movies and the franchises, and that's going to be a big issue for these executives. They're going to lose significant amount of money. I imagine that there are hundreds of, if not thousands of people canceling their trips to SDCC because they're not going to have the same event anymore. You can't do tours. You can't do personal appearances, interviews, conventions, fan expos, festivals, panels, premieres, award shows, junkets, podcasts, social media, studios. You can't do it. You disappear. All of these people who have been out there doing anything for their summer movies are going to go away. You just saw that they squeezed in premieres in London of Oppenheimer. I think they squeezed in a premiere of Barbie. They're squeezing in everything because they knew this was coming, and now that they're gone. And there anything coming at the end of July or in August, there's no promotions from the actors. They cannot speak to the press about their movies. So if those movies are seen, it's because they already have generated enough interest, or it's because, just in general, people are going to be looking for something to go do and see in August, and they'll go see those movies. Perhaps people like me. There's a notice to non-members that says that any non-member seeking future membership in SAG-AFTRA who performs covered services for a struck company during the strike will not be admitted into membership in SAG-AFTRA. So lest you believe that you could be a scab and get in an opportunity, well, if you look to be a part of the union in the future, they won't allow you to be part of their union because of how you went up against what they were doing. So we have Fran Drescher as the president of SAG-AFTRA, who gave a remarkable speech, a very good speech. I want to play part of this speech for you because she did an excellent job of not making it just about the industry of actors. Oftentimes you see conservatives, the right wing, they hit Hollywood liberals. They're out of touch with people. They make too much money. She did a good job of connecting what the actors are doing along with the writers to all of labor and the struggle against Wall Street and greedy studio executives. So I want to play just part of this. You may have seen this going around, but here, this is Fran Drescher. She is the president of SAG-AFTRA.
conference today. It's really important that this negotiation be covered because the eyes of the world, and particularly the eyes of labor, are upon us. What happens here is important because what's happening to us is happening across all fields of labor by means of when employers make Wall Street and greed their priority, and they forget about the essential contributors that make the machine run. We have a problem. And we are experiencing that right at this moment. This is a very seminal hour for us. I went in earnest, thinking that we would be able to avert a strike. The gravity of this move is not lost on me or our negotiating committee or our board members who have voted unanimously to proceed with a strike. It's a very serious thing that impacts thousands, if not millions of people all across this country and around the world. Not only members of this union, but people who work in other industries that service the people that work in this industry. And so it came with great sadness that we came to this crossroads, but we had no choice. We are the victims here. We are being victimized by a very greedy entity. I am shocked by the way the people that we have been in business with are treating us. I cannot believe it, quite frankly. How far apart we are on so many things. How they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs. It is disgusting.
All right, there's Fran Drescher, and Fran, of course, and then a longtime actor. And let's lay it out here. This is what they're struggling over. This is what the actors would like, and it is to increase the minimums for lowest paid members. That would be their payment for working on productions, the protection from replacement and duplication by AI, streaming residuals falling in line with television. And as you see here, the WGA, the writers and the actors, are not being able to move these executives who their CEOs, like numerous corporations in the United States, walk away with these packages where they pay themselves hundreds of millions of dollars in a given year while saying they do not have funds to pay people who are the workers, the employees. This is a dynamic, and I'm glad that Fran, connects it to everything. So let me play another clip from the press conference there. Maybe you're wondering, what's the AI proposal? I don't know if you've seen anything from the Alliance about what they're discussing as far as artificial intelligence and using actors' likenesses. But maybe you thought that the actors are being unreasonable because you think they're spoiled and they should take this deal because the executives are trying to work with them and they understand that technology and the business is changing, and these actors are being brats by walking around and saying that they're not going to work on these productions and they're going to go on strike. Well, here you go. This is the AI offer that was put forward to actors, and they claim that this is groundbreaking.
And they're claiming they had a groundbreaking, I'm quoting them, AI proposal which protects performers' digital likeness. So what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, Fran may have some things she wants to say to that, but let me just take one of the items that you mentioned, and I'm not going to be able, not having seen their press release, I can't respond to every point of it. But this groundbreaking AI proposal that they gave us yesterday, in that groundbreaking AI proposal, they proposed that our background performers should be able to be scanned, get paid for 1 day's pay, and their company should own that scan, their image, their likeness, and should be able to use it for the rest of eternity in any project they want with no consent and no compensation. So if you think that's a groundbreaking proposal, I suggest you think again.
Yeah. All right. So perpetuity, you don't own yourself. You're not one of these named actors who has any influence or power over the industry. If you want to work, you'll just sign away and let us continue to use you. And I guess, what does that mean? Does it mean for the future of extras that the industry might be able to just use you and then not hire extras in the future, or these smaller character roles that they'll just replay them and then you don't get to reprise your role? It's cheaper. They don't have to pay you. We know what kind of corners they're trying to cut. So does the Screen Actors Guild, the SAG-AFTRA. They understand. So Bob Iger is become the face of these greedy studio executives. He is the CEO of Disney. He owns many millennials and Gen Z's childhoods, and even older people. They own all those intellectual properties, and they make all kinds of money off these productions. And so here he is. He's complaining about the strike. So let's hear what the Fat Cat studio executive Bob Iger is grumbling about on CNBC. It's a great place to go because that's where you can watch people show you how little they understand about the businesses in which they ask you to invest in stocks and so forth.
Speaking of content, we're in the midst of a writer's strike, and very likely it would seem to have a actors strike. How is that going to impact things, and what are your expectations there?
Well, I think it's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges that we're facing and the recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. It's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. I understand any labor organization's desire to work on the behalf of its members to get the most compensation, to be compensated fairly based on the value that they deliver. We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being
and
realistic?
dangerous. No, they're not.
Why not?
I can't answer that question. I respect their right and their desire to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people. I completely respect that. I've been around long enough to understand that dynamic and to appreciate it. But you also have to be realistic about the business environment and what this business can deliver. It is and has been a great business for all of these people, and it will continue to be, even through disruptive times. But, being realistic is imperative.
What do you do in the interim then? Does AI
Well,
start to write a lot of scripts?
It will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business, and unfortunately,
The strike will.
there's huge collateral damage in the industry to people who are, who are support services. I could go on and on. It will affect the economy of, different regions even because of just the sheer size of the business. It's a shame. It is really a shame.
Well, now he cares about the help. Now he cares about the people who are working on the margins and are part of the service industry and who get brought in and are at the bottom of the credits, and they're mentioned, but we don't all stay for the end of the credits to see what they've done and brought to those productions. And it's not like Bob Iger knows any of those people and really holds them in high esteem. I mean, he's probably always looking for ways to cut costs. When he talks about realistic and what's reality in the business, you can listen to the actors themselves as they share the stories about how they're scraping by, and the industry is not really helping everyone. Everyone is not benefiting from the industry. I think there's actually a pretty big gap. I think you've got maybe 10 or 20% in SAG-AFTRA where all is good. They're doing just fine. And then you've got the 75, 80% that has to worry about what their next production will be, how much they'll be paid, will they be treated fairly, are they going to be exploited? And what you're seeing put on the table is a recipe for continued exploitation of working people in the industry. And they are actually very mindful of the collateral damage. You can hear it in their statements to the press. They don't want the rippling effects to be so bad that people's lives are destroyed. There are funds that are put together to try and help people, but there's only a limit. There's a real limit to what those can do. But let's hear from the industry. Let's hear some of the people who were speaking to the press before, and unnamed sources. They were claiming to represent the AMPTP. Bob Iger's a face of. This is the message that they were sending to the public just before the deadline, just before it was clear that they were going to go on strike. So listen to this.
Hey guys, what do you make of the reports that the AMP, that the Academy's strategy was to bleed union members dry? I know there was in specific regards to the WGA, but what were your thoughts on that piece that came out?
It was reported in the press just recently that there were some executives from the studios who stated that that it was okay for writers to go homeless as a result of this strike, where that, like you said, that they want to bleed the people dry. I mean, I think Fran might have some words to say about that.
Necessary evil.
A necessary evil, that's right.
Can you believe that?
I mean,
we had a whiteboard with quotes just so the room would remember some of the things that were said. But you know what? Eventually, the people break down the gates of Versailles, and then it's over. Well, we're at that moment right now.
And then it's over. And it should be. I don't think people should sit back and tolerate the way that they are being mistreated. And that goes for every industry, principally speaking. So I don't know. It's a moment to think about whether your consumption is feeding into the greed of these studios, making it easier for them to not accept a deal. You're going to see people have conversations about whether we should stop subscribing to streaming services temporarily, whether you should not go to the movie theaters, should these productions take a hit at the box office. And those are fair conversations to have. But let's listen to SAG-AFTRA about what they would like in the form of supporting them, as you should do for every union. When they go on strike, you want to hear from them. Do they want you to boycott? Do they want you to do anything else? Let them be the ones that take the lead and follow their guide, follow their actions. They are going to be in locations where there are studio buildings, particularly in LA and New York. There's opportunities to go out and show solidarity. You can go out. I imagine there will be picketing in Chicago. Numerous productions have now come to a grinding halt. And so this is where we are. And I have no idea how long this will last. And I'm not going to try and predict it, because this is a moment that I think the actors and the writers recognize. And it's sad that the directors weren't willing to see how they could wait to accept the deal and be part of this history. But they have said, the Directors Guild has said that they have solidarity with the actors and writers. But without the directors, they maybe are a little bit less capable of getting maximum concessions from these studio executives. But 2 of the 3 is a big old deal. And they are, I think, eventually going to prevail. How long will the studio executives hold out? I think that's the big question. But I do not believe that these executives have made a good decision in going up against the actors and writers. These are the people. I go to the movies to see them on the screen, and I go to the movies to hear their stories and enjoy the stories that are told. whether they make political statements or they could just be popcorn flicks. I watch and enjoy a range of entertainment. And so do you, I imagine. And I'm not going to the movies because of Bob Iger. I don't go to the movies because of David Zaslav and his cunning ability to destroy and wreck any business that he is in charge of, it would seem. Take a wrecking ball to Turner Classic Movies and destroy the culture that people have been trying to build. I don't go to the movies for the studio executives that run Paramount or Sony or Universal Pictures. I go there because I enjoy the people who appear on the screen and the performances that they bring. I enjoy meeting new actors, seeing new faces, and you can't see the new writers. You can't experience the new writers if they don't have the opportunities and the support that is necessary, that comes from SAG-AFTRA, that comes from being part of this union. And so I do think in the end, we are going to see this union prevail. We're going to see this strike bring about something monumental that is going to give the industry another decade of protection from the vultures that run these studios that want to use the technology to milk people and exploit them. But it's going to be hard fought. It's going to take weeks in order to get there. Might take a few months to get there and break the studio executives and their resistance to something that is, in my view, realistic, in my view, reasonable. But and while this is unfolding, this will be a big focus of the show. We'll keep coming back to this in our discussions, and in addition to highlighting some of the movies that we enjoy, that I enjoy. And so thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in to this week's broadcast.